Hello everyone. Yes, it's the silly one back again for a little more Battletech stuff. Please excuse me looking away. I've just got a few bits of files and folders and all that kind of rubbish to sort out. And yes, hopefully I'm ready and we can start. It's been a bit of a busy few weeks. I didn't stream last week, so that's a bit unlike, well, I was intending to. The world gets in the way. I am effectively a week behind. I am one down on my average of trying to stream once a week, 52 this year. I am going to do my best to make it up to people. People have asked for the Arsenal card review, having done Crusade and a few bits of Commander's Edition. And if you ever saw any of the stuff I did with Travis and Gustav, then that never quite transpired. It'd been written. I wrote it. Travis said, I want to do it on this date. Gustav, who gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do it, was always up for it. I wasn't even in the country and couldn't do it. I was away and it never happened. It petered out. So I'm intending on doing the Arsenal stuff next. But in order to do that, I've got a few things to get ready, and I honestly just haven't had the time. So this is one of the ones that's kind of always been on the back burner, or a bit of a filler episode, so to speak. And it's actually, and I'm going to get this wrong. I know I'm going to get this wrong. If the guy is listening, I am so sorry. My pronunciation is really bad. But this is Jason Skolchas's, or Knight's End, as he used to post by, 2001 World Championship winning deck. So, for those of you that have followed the entire history, Peter won in 98, then Terry Bora won in 99, Tom Smith, the Gorge Master, won in 98, 99, 97, 99. Yeah, Tom won in 2000. Oh, no. Tom won in 99. I'm getting all the years wrong. 97, 98, 99. Chad won in 2000. Nice for him to get there. And there was a small tournament the following year. I believe it was at Gen Con in the States. I'm not sure. And I don't think it was particularly well attended. I think there were only about 14 people there. But it was billed as a World Championship. And people turned up and played. And this is the deck that won. Small tournament, gone with the heady days where Terry Bora won in a field of 128, and people like me, I came third in the British qualifiers and missed one of the automatic spots on a flight to the States on that one to play. But that was how popular it was, and then 2-3 years later, there's like 14 people in the World Championship. It shows the rapid decline of lack of cards. So this is his deck. I'm not going to say it's the greatest deck ever. I'm certainly slightly critical of it for a number of reasons, which I'll talk about, and that's the whole point of this. I believe it went up against the broken Star League deck and won. But I believe that the only reason it won, and I think it might have been Gustav who was the Star League player, I'm not sure. Please correct me if I am wrong. Basically double resource screwed. And that's why this deck won. It's not that this deck is particularly good against that Star League monster. It's not. It does kind of circumvent one of the Star League's larger or main lockdowns. But it's no means a Star League destroyer. It sounds like something out of Star Wars, doesn't it? Big ship with big laser cannons, kind of thing. Okay, so we're going to have a look at it. It's a Ghost Bear deck. And as soon as you say Ghost Bear deck, then the wonderful Dragonfly Elemental Point Dash type stuff comes to mind, and that is the beastie. Okay. And I've just got the deck list up on the right hand side here, so we'll construct it. So it has the Blitzkrieg elemental points, the 1 cost 3L 043 battle armor with jump, with AP, and the special ability that anything in a battle with this, whether it's blocked or blocked by this, gets 1 additional damage, which is really powerful, and that's probably what makes it the most powerful elemental point around. You can make cases for Berserk because of its ability, but Berserk costs 3. This costs 1. And the fact that you've just blasted everything on the other side for 1 is very powerful, especially when you compare it to what's the Kurita card? It's one of the. It's not Death Commando Strike. It's is it Dest Commando Strike? That's it. Dest Commando Sabotage. 4/4P. This does 2 structure damage to everything. And there aren't many cards that do damage to everything. The other one that comes to my mind is Carpet Bombing, where you need munitions and everything gets 2 damage. Okay, it's 2 structure, and this mission is 2, and you've got 2 damage, and you've got to play munitions. This, if anything's in the way and it just gets 2 damage, 1 damage, is very, very powerful. It's definitely the best one. And then the other one that most people complement it with is the Skirmisher one, where you've got this little ability to tap to deal 1 structure damage to a unit that already has a counter on it or structure damage on it. And the nice thing with this is you can just tap it without actually engaging it with anything, just to finish off one of those units that survived the previous combat by 1 point. So they're probably the better 2. When you look at the other ones, the Covert one is probably the weakest, with long range 1 effectively, which isn't overly great. It's not bad, it's a nice ability, but it's not going to break the game in the same way as 1 damage to everything is. And then the Berserk one, which costs 3. If you scrap a mech, you get control of it. If you deal damage to it, you can scrap it. Is a great way of dealing with big units, but you have to scrap your Berserk as well. So there's his resource or skirmisher based, and in order to support those, his deck packs 8. And I thought I was. Let's clear those out. Which ones have I got? Logistics A, Commanders. That one. Let's make them all the same. I've gone for the blue one. Okay. And support logistics, 8 logistics, and you've got 10 units that require logistics. Okay. Next up we have the ubiquitous Dasher Prime. 6 of those. And the thing here is Dasher Prime does 3. Your elemental point does 3, but it's got AP, so it does 4. So the standard turn is turn 1 L and an elemental point, turn 2 A and a dasher, and then attack for 7, either kill a resource or spank a stockpile. That's the standard opening turns. It's not quite as clear cut if you go first, because obviously you play 1, you might be able to play 2nd resource and a dasher, but if you're forced to play a 2nd resource and an elemental point, that's definitely a much slower start. And this deck probably doesn't want to go first. It probably wants to go 2nd for those reasons. Build the resources up and put the things out on turns 1, 2, and 3, etc., etc. The next units are the classic fast Ghost Bear Dragonflies. And we have a plethora of D. I'll put one in, and B and C. And this is where the deck goes a bit. I'm not sure why, and it could be card availability. He runs 4 Ds, so we'll add 3 of those. He runs 3 Cs, and he runs 5 Bs. And I've put too many, and that should have another one on it. 4 C, sorry, 3 Cs. That's the trouble with Lackey. Sometimes it does that in the wrong order. I think it's the way it filters, and I end up clicking on the wrong one. So 5 Bs, 3 Cs, 4 Ds. Okay. Now, I find this a little odd. Okay. Is Dragonfly B better than Dragonfly C? And the answer in most cases is yes. Okay. Now let's simply compare them. For 1A 153 jump. For 153 jump, this is a 4-2A. So there's one assembly buyout different in the favour of the B. Okay, where do they differ? Well, the B has overheat. Where are we? 2+1. It does 1 damage to itself to do 1 extra overheat. And the C has AP, anti-personnel, does 1 additional damage against sight. That's not usable in combat. And okay, your B has to take damage and has less buyouts. So my first thought is, why is it 5 Bs and 3 Cs? Why, if you're going for that many units, is it not 6 Cs, sorry, 6 Bs? Because you can choose when you overheat and you have the option in battle, whereas C you don't. So why isn't it 5 Bs where you can choose your overheat and 2 Cs where you get a bit of AP when you want? It just seems a bit bizarre. It could be card availability. Oh, these guys were playing with physical cards. Wow, those were the days. But that just seems a little out of kilter. And then 4 of the D, which is the expensive one at 5. 154 jump. No other options on that. It's just a 4 damage unit for an extra assembly. Okie dokie. And that's the unit base. Okie dokie. So that is 28 units. Okay. Then the missions. 3 risky combat jumps. And 3 forged mission orders. Fair enough. They definitely work. Every unit has jump. And for those of you that saw the Jump Wolf stream a few weeks ago, then that's a nice combo. And if you've got tactics in play, then you can jump it. And if you fail the risky combat risky combat die roll, because there is the die roll there, you can fail it. You can then roll it again. You can't roll it again. If you fail it, you play forged mission orders and take another mech out of the way so it doesn't die. Okay, and then you save that good roll that you prevent 2 damage and do 3 attack when you want. Okay. We all know how good risky combat is, and we all know that forged mission orders is the backup for it. 3 and 3 seems reasonable if you're expecting it to fail, but I'd say 1 to 2, 3 to 6, you fail 1 in 3. So 1 in 3 would be a reasonable ratio. 2 and 3, I think, would be a reasonable ratio. It gives you a bit of options. 3 and 3, I'm not quite convinced. I think that could be a little better. Okay. And then we go on to the commands. And the wonderful Ghostberryness. We have the unstoppable, if you stick her on a fast mech, unkillable Aletha. She is a very good card. She gives you +1 initiative, she gives you +1 attack, and she has the ability to prevent 3 damage to a mech piloted by her. Couple that with a risky combat jump of 2 armor and 1, then you need 6 damage just to scratch the paintwork, and you need 7 damage to get to some structure. She, when she's in play and you've got missions like risky, are a real pain in the arse to kill. Okay? But she's 1 card in a deck of 60. If you pull her, great. You don't rely on her. Okay. And then next we have 1 black market. Type in black market, and if you do that, you might actually find it to recycle stuff. And then the rest of the resources come in the format of strip mining and 4 strip minings. Now I find this a little low. Okay, let's think about this. So you're going second, you go turn 1, you play logistics. This is what we were saying, this is the starting turn, isn't it? You play your logistics on turn 1 and you play your elemental point. Okay. Then next turn you play your assembly, which we haven't done. So let's do this on the fly. We'll add the assemblies. And again, I'm not convinced with this quite, because I think there's 7 assemblies in his deck. Yes, there are. Okay. So 7 assemblies. So you play 1 elemental point, a logistics elemental point. Turn 2, you play assembly, dasher, attack. Okay. Turn 3, what are you going to put out? Okay. So you started with 5 cards and you've drawn 6. So that puts you on 11 cards. Okay. So with 4 logistics across the deck, you're going to get 1 every 15. Okay. So it's going to be very hit and miss about whether you've drawn a logistics. Now, the advantage of strip mine, if we go back to that first turn, is you go logistics, strip mine, tap it, elemental point. Straight off. And you've already got 2 resources for your next turn. You play assembly, then the following turn you play another resource. You've got 4 resources. So turn 3, if you can pull a strip mine, you can put one of your dragonflies out. And let's face it, there are 12 of them in the deck. So you should be drawing 1 every 5 cards. Okay. So I'm not convinced that 4 strip mine is the right amount. I think there should be 5 strip mines in order to guarantee it. Yes, you can have a good game and it can be lucky. Yes, you can have a bad game and you don't draw it. That's always the case. But I think from a mathematical point of view, and okay, this is an analysis, I think it should be 5 strip mines, personally. Okay. Then he's got think tanks. 3 of them. Seems a little OTT, personally. And then we've got war funds and... oh, come on. 2 war funds. Not a war dog. I'm not sure what's going on with my mouse. Let's add another war funds. So 2 war funds, 3 think tanks. And if you go back to that stream I did a while ago about is war funds broken, is think tank any good? War funds is a good ramp card. Think tank, because you have to scrap it, you take a huge hit on momentum for gaining a resource. And it should always be a last-ditch effort. And I think this is wrong. I think this is wrong. Why do you need 3 think tanks? I mean, you're playing you're not even playing tactics, for God's sake. And you've got 6 missions in there and a lether. Okay, you've got to scrap a think tank for tactics, and you get it for the end of the game, and the guy can't kill it off. But you lose that resource, and you're doing it to play either 1 card if you draw it, or either mission card. Now, I know you can jump. I know everything jumps. But you're probably telegraphing that you're going to play a mission if you jump without tactics on the table. Unless there's something else that's fairly obvious, like I don't know what he's going to pull, so I'll wait for it. So I'm not convinced. I honestly am not convinced with that. So let's just yeah, and he did spell it Night's End, as in night, as in the end of a night, as in the Black Knight in Monty Python. Yes, it's only a flesh wound. So let's just let's just reveal everything. That's the easiest way, isn't it? So the great start is logistics, elemental point, assembly, dasher, attack the other guy, kill his assembly, hit his stockpile. Fine, not a problem. Okay, but your next turn is complicated, because if you go 1 for a war funds, then you tap and scrap it. It still only leaves you on 3. Okay, and your dragonfly, and there are 8 of them in the deck, so your chances are it's probably a 4-cost dragonfly, which I seem unable to find at the moment. you're not going to get it out. Okay, if we untap all of this, untap all, and play this again. So let's just move all of this out of the way just for simplicity's. If you go logistics, strip mine revealed, tap that to pay for the logistics comes out elemental point, and then next turn you go with assembly and dasher as planned, and then the following turn you've got another resource, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can play your dragonfly on the third turn. Okay, if you go the other, that's going second. If you go the other route, then you probably start with logistics, then you play assembly and you dash, and then you have to play another logistics. And what are you playing, a blitzkrieg? And then you can't use the blitzkrieg because your dash is on its own. This has just come out. And then you have to find another resource. So that's 4 resources in the first 11 cards. And there's only 15 basic in the deck. So that's 1 every 4. So you're looking at 4 resources in 11 cards out of 15. So the chances are that half the time you're not going to have that 4th resource. So going first, you're screwed unless you can get strip mine out. And as I said, I think there needs to be 5 strip mines in there to do that reliably. The numbers just don't work in my head. Okay, logistics more than assembly, fair enough, I can see that. You do run the risk of losing out on assemblies. You've got 15 basic resources in there. How would I do this? I would drop 2 think tanks for a start. I would add another strip mine. I would probably add another war funds. I might even, do you know what? I might even take the think tank out and play 1 tactics, or put the think tank in the sideboard, and we'll come on to the sideboard in a minute. So I'm not convinced with this. I think more logistics into strip mine gives you a better chance of getting that 3rd turn dragonfly on the table. But I think the dragonfly mix is wrong. I think I would probably play 1 less D and 1 more B, making it a 6-3-3. That would give me 9 4-cost dragonflies, which means literally 1 in 6 cards. So I'd probably have a choice of 1 or 2 by turn 3, 11 cards drawn, to make sense. I probably wouldn't play Aletha, to be honest. I probably would. I mean, she's great when you get her on the table, don't get me wrong, but you can't rely on her. And do you want to rely on her? Would you rather have another black market? Would you rather have an actual tactics in game? Would you rather have another war funds to draw what you wanted? And do you rely on forged and riskies? I mean, there's no defensive missions in here at all. Maybe that's design. Do you super nav instead? Do you mix it up a bit? I mean, if your opponent knows that you're playing forged and riskies after the first game, and you go along and he knows you haven't got tactics and you haven't scrapped it or your think tank for it, and you go jump, the first thing that comes into your mind is he's going to risky it or he's going to forge it. It's just a case of what he's got in his hand. So you're telegraphing it. Okay. So yeah, fine. I'm not convinced, as I said. We'll do the sideboard while we're here. We will have 2 unlikely love affairs. We have 2 rocky gorges. We have 1 black market. And I've done that again. And I don't understand that. 2 temp ceasefires. And an arrow 4. So, Right, let's look at what these are. So, black market connection. I don't understand why this is in the sideboard. Why isn't this in the main deck? That strikes me as, why have I built my deck wrong? Why is black market in the sideboard? If you're going to sideboard it in, why isn't it in the deck to start with? Because it's such a fundamental card, regurgitating or bringing something back from your scrap heap to win or do what you want. Why isn't it in the main deck to start with? You know, and then the other thing is people put resources in the sideboard, and again, I don't understand that. It just says, I don't trust my deck. I haven't tested it enough. I don't know whether I've got the right resource mix. This is something that I made up on the plane here or on the bus before we played, and I haven't actually seen what's going on here. So I can understand people thinking, well, okay, fine. What about arms reduction or Uncle Theodore Carita, Uncle Teddy that stops you unless you play logistics? Okay, fine. Maybe that's a think tank or two. And okay, fine, we took a couple out. Maybe this should be in the main deck and there should be a think tank. And I could understand a think tank in the sideboard because of the utility it brings. But black market's so fundamental. Why isn't it in the main deck? Arrow 4 we've talked about. It is the black market killer. There's only one of them. Okay, fine, seems reasonable. Rocky Gorge to kill swarms, I'm assuming, and deal damage. And supporting stuff makes a lot of sense. Temporary Ceasefire is an interesting choice. It's a defensive card, providing you roll well. If you roll horribly, it goes horribly. And again, I'm not convinced this is the best card here. Maybe something like a Heavy Fog gives you more utility. I don't know. Okay, fine, yes. There's the game in the British Nationals, the first tournament I ever played, where I rolled 3 of these or played 3 of these in a row to win a game. That's another story, and mistake by my opponent as well. And finally, 2 unlikely love affairs. These are Kai and Victor food, basically. Scrap unlikely love affair when it's revealed. Choose any unique command card in play and restock it in its owner's deck. Draw a card when you activate likely love affair. So the draw is really nice. Restock Kai, great way to get rid of him. And it's a 1 generic cost of nothing, which is great. Just remember that when the other guy goes and war funds for his Solaris after you've killed it or something or other, they shuffle the deck again. So it's good. Don't get me wrong. I would happily play this. Just remember there is a downside to it as well. A bit like Temporary Ceasefire, like rolling a 1. Not great. So this is kind of anti-swarm. This is kind of anti-pilot swarm. So he's thinking I lose to Star League or Davian or Pilot or 2-cost standard Inner Sphere stuff, and you can pop these in, but there's nothing defensive there at all. So yes, it won. Fair enough, it won. I got no problem with it winning. You know, that was it's like the lottery. You've got to be in it to win it. If you don't, then you're there. I just think it's not quite there. I just don't think. Much as I love Aletha, and she's great in this deck, I don't think she needs to be there. I think Black Market needs to be another one. And I don't think it needs to be in the sideboard. I think I would probably play Arrow 4 main deck. Like Peter does. And probably drop a Forge mission order. And I might tweak my mission slightly. I think if I'm not prepared to play tactics, and if you're going to do that, you probably need to put 2 in. I would put the think tank in the sideboard. to take that out of there. And I mean, depending on how you're feeling, I might even go something like two tactics in the back there. I might even go something like that. I'd want to play test it and see whether I want to take my tactics out and add another logistics all assembly, or maybe tweak this. I think in a tournament people will run black market. I think Arafor main deck is good. L and M, okay, you've got your L, so it's only going to cost you 2. And to be honest, it can give you a bit of stockpile pressure as well if you want. So I think that's worth it. 2 black market if you're going to run it. 1, and I've been there. I've been in a tournament, and I have literally been hit by an Alpha Struck Saladin that took both black markets and a Solaris Contacts out of my deck. The 3 cards that the Alpha Struck Saladin took were 2 black markets, the only 2 I had, and a Solaris Contact, and I only had another Solaris Contact right at the bottom of my deck. And it was a killer. It was soul destroying. When you see that go, you just think, oh god. So the fact that it takes that and you've only got 1 is probably even worse. So yeah. So yes, it won, arguably, and it was not well, as I understand. That doesn't mean it's actually true. I say it as I see it. I say it honest. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm right, but I understood that it won basically because the other guy double mulliganed. Okay, fair play. The guy turned up. He played. Jason, and I'm not even going to pronounce his surname and butcher it again. Knight's End won. As I said, you've got to be in it to win it. And yeah, he's the last world champion. I'm just not convinced it's quite as good as it can be. I mean, maybe you've got another opinion. That's fine. Would you run this deck? Would you run these amounts? Would you run these numbers? Would you run Aletha? I mean, yeah, I know she's great, and maybe she could win you a game, but she's 1 card, and do you need something else in order to have some flexibility? Does this deck pack too many think tanks? Do you agree with Strip Mine? That's another contentious one. Doesn't always happen, doesn't always turn up, but it does work, etc., etc. So if you've got any comments, shout them out, stick them on YouTube, stick them on Facebook, whatever it is, and let me know. I'm always interested. And if there's anything you'd like me to look at, whether it's a card review, whether it's a deck that you've built, whether it's something you want me to do, I'm going to try and do the Arsenal set. It's going to be a bit of a task, and the world is against me at the moment until a few things calm down, but I will do my best. And hopefully I've got a game or 2 with Chester at 1 or 2 points as well, so we can do a bit more dual stockpile. But if there's anything you want, you say, hit the like buttons if you like it. If you don't, just don't hit the like button. It's as simple as that. And let me know what you think on this one. So anyway, there's my thoughts on that. Maybe you love them, maybe you loathe them, but anyway, they're my thoughts. Anyway, I'm done. Stick a fork in me. I wish you all well. Look after yourselves. It's a big bad world out there, and I'll see you on another day for another Battletech stream. Take care, everyone.